they're going to have to piece it together because they don't have much else. I think, frankly, they do have more evidence against Henry. He was the one who went into the hospital. He was the one who told the initial lies, at least according to the defense attorney. And so I think they have a stronger case against Henry, frankly, than they do against Melly, but we'll see how it pans out. They don't have any hard evidence. They don't have any witnesses. They actually just have the cell phone data so far. We might see additional data that places him at the scene of the crime, but right now we haven't seen all the evidence, and right now I don't think it's the strongest case.
Interesting. We'll have to wait until it's all been said and done, until the case is over, at least the state's case in chief. And then we move on to the defense case, of course, if they decide to put one on, which we believe they will. Crystal W. from YouTube. Should the prosecutor be fired for her actions and violations? Linda Kenny-Bodden.
Prosecutors seldom get fired for actions in violation. Even when they have caused wrongful convictions, we seldom see any punishment meted out to prosecutors, although that may be changing a bit. But if indeed there is a discovery violation, the best practices for any office would be to redo the teaching that you have about what should be turned over. And usually in a big office, there is a Brady unit that says and reviews everything if it's even questionable about whether it should be turned over. So maybe the whole office has to look to see whether or not they're doing things properly if the basic discovery violation that was made by her has been made by others in the office.
Bridget, next question is from Lies Never Told 247 from Instagram. Why didn't Miss Holmes' daughter testify? That is Mariah Hamilton, the former girlfriend of Melly.
Well, I would say the only person who would know the reason why she didn't testify would be the prosecutor in this particular case. And so maybe the prosecutor doesn't think that the girlfriend testifying would be helpful to their case at this time. And so bringing up Ms. Holmes would be more helpful to their case in chief here. And so the prosecutor has the decision and has the power to decide on what witnesses she brings up. And so she just probably didn't think that it was helpful for her in this case. And maybe that Ms. Holmes was more helpful and laying out what was needed here.
Trap Man NYP from Instagram, Terry. Is he ever going to take the stand? What do you think? Do you think Melly's going to get up there and testify?
I don't think Melly is going to need to get up on that stand and testify, at least based on the evidence we've seen thus far. If the prosecution is putting on a case, and if right now it's not beyond a reasonable doubt, and I think there is a ton of doubt, much less reasonable doubt, in the jury's mind at this point with the evidence that's gone in, he will not take the stand. There is a lot of risk when a defendant gets on that stand. They have to be cross-examined. They could really talk about information that contradicts with other information that they've previously provided. And if you don't need to get up on that stand, obviously they have a right not to testify, and the jury cannot use that against the defendant, and the charges will be talking about that. The judge is actually going to make sure the jury's instructed to that effect. So if you don't have to, don't put the defendant on the stand. And in this case, based on what we've seen thus far, things could change. I doubt very seriously if Melly will get on that stand.
Well, Terry, I'm sorry to cut you off. We got to go to break. I'll be signing off. Linda Kenny-Bodden will be taking over. We'll be right back.
EVE Online is a vast universe, alive with the unrelenting activity and combined history of its players. Pursuing lives of adventure, warfare, and prosperity, they share this existence in the biggest single shard, free-to-play MMO of all time. Set 21,000 years in the future, Eve takes place in a distant cluster of over 7,000 star systems known as New Eden. It is a rich and diverse universe featuring densely populated havens of relative safety, governed by 4 great empires. Hostile systems where player alliances make the rules. Even
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. I'm Linda Kenny Bodden. Our coverage continues in that Broward County courtroom for the trial of Jamel Demons, better known as YNW Melly. This 24-year-old rapper is charged with two counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of Christopher Thomas Jr., also known as YNW Juvie, and Anthony Williams, also known as YNW Sackchaser. All were a part of the YNW collaborative, along with the co-defendant Cortland Henry, who will be tried separately. Right now, the court is on their lunch break and should be returning soon. But I want you to take a listen to some of the testimony that happened earlier of Special Agent Brendan Collins, who's with the FBI. His cross-examination is expected to begin once they return on lunch, but he was under direct examination all morning. So why don't we take a listen to the prosecution's case?
Going on to this next slide here, what are you illustrating in this particular map?
So this shows the green dots are T-Mobile towers in the South Florida area at the time of 2018, at the time relevant to this analysis or case. And the takeaways there are just You see in densely populated areas, there's a much higher concentration of towers, right? Because there's more people who have more devices, so there's more demand of network resources. So the providers need to have more towers with smaller coverage areas to provide service to those devices. When you get to more rural areas where there's fewer people, fewer devices, the networks will usually have fewer towers that will have bigger coverage areas. So.
Okay. Is this map fairly and accurately depict the towers that were in South Florida in October of 2018?
Yes.
So going on to the phone of the 772-713-9807, what are we looking at this slide titled 347 again?
So this is a plot of timing advanced data, and it shows that 2 data points basically from the engineering report. The tower 64337, sector 2, that's pointed south, recorded the red phone had 2 data points, one at 3:47:13 a.m., one at 3:47:24 a.m. And the measurement that went up was that phone at those times was 0.24 miles from the tower.
So you said it's 2 different times, but it's the same measurement. How do you explain that to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
That's just what the records recorded.
Okay. And in terms of by having 2 data points, are they going to be in the same exact spot?
Well, it could be or it could not be. So the 0.24 miles from the tower is this red arc here. And I guess your question is the phone in the same spot or not? I don't know. Those are 2 data points close in time. They're separated by 11 seconds, so the phone certainly could be stationary. The phone could also be moving. For instance, at one point it could be here, and at the other point it could be there. There are both possibilities, and you can't determine from this data.
And in terms of you don't have any cameras if it's stuck at a red light or anything like that?
I don't know.
Okay. Was other physical evidence provided for you to review?
I don't think I saw physical evidence, no.
Okay. So going on to the next slide, the 772-713-9807 and 954-248-9081. If you can explain what we're looking at on this particular slide.
So this is a series of data points on 3 different towers for both the red and the blue phone between 417 and 423. We're starting back on the left side of the slide, where 417.43, the blue phone, is 1.21 miles from this tower. Shortly after that, at 4:18:02 a.m., the red phone is 0.87 miles from the tower. Shortly after that, 4:20:50 a.m., the blue phone is 1.02 miles from this tower. Then after that, at 4:23:22 and 4:23:55 a.m., the red phone is 0.29 miles and then 0.68 miles from this tower.
Okay, and in terms of what can you tell about how the phones are related in distance from one another based on this slide?
Distance from one another. Well, both phones moved north and then east. We know that the blue phone and the red phone are both over here, and now they're over here towards the end of the period.
Can you have an opinion as to whether or not they separated during this time frame?
During this time frame?
Yes, 417 to 423.
I don't know. To me, I don't think there's enough data here to form.
Okay. Now going on to the 772-713-9807 between 12:01 and 12:12 p.m. on October 26th of 2018. What are you illustrating with this particular image?
So at 12:01, first there's an incoming call from the turquoise phone 9158, and then at 12:01, the red phone is this band, 0.92 miles from the tower. At 1203, it's 0.68 miles from the tower. At 1205, it's 0.92 miles from the tower. And then 1207 to 1212, it's 1.55 miles from the tower.
Okay, and just to flip back again to the 1201 to 1212 for the 954-376-9158. In terms of, can you make any opinions as to where these two phones were located in relation to one another during these time frames?
So they're in the same general geographic area for sure. Right? They're both on the same tower, at the same time, near Pines and US 27. There's areas where there's times when their bands are approximately the same, and there's times where they're different as well.
Okay. Can you make any sort of opinion that they were in the same vehicle?
No.
Going on to the 772-713-9807 phone from October 26, 2018, from 12:14 p.m. to 12:21 p.m. What data are you illustrating in this particular slide?
So the first data point, 12:14:47, is this band here. It's 1.02 miles from this tower. The next one, 12:16:28, is this band here, 0.92 miles from the tower. Then continuing on at time at 12:18:08 p.m. Continuing on at the red phones in this band, 0.92 miles from the tower. And then at 12:18:28, 0.68 miles from the tower. And then finally at 12:21:17, it's 0.29 miles from this tower.
And in terms of that was the end of the mapping and cellular analysis that you were asked to do in this case.
Yes.
Does being in a parking garage or being at elevation change your analysis of where the phones would be?
Being a part of the elevation change. I mean, I don't think so. No.
If there was something that was a red flag in the data, what do you do to catch that?
Well, if I see a red flag for whatever reason, something that doesn't make sense, I'm going to look at it much more
All right,
closely.
so I don't like leaving people without content, so let's go ahead and stop this real quick. So far, trial started this morning. Pretty much wasted everybody's time. What happened was the defense pretty much told the judge that the evidence that the prosecutor was admitting at that time for this FBI agent to, bear witness to what she's trying to put out there. She never gave the defense any of this information. She never gave them the information. She said she sent them an email or some shit like that. So all in all, what they did was just stop the trial. They went to a recess so that the prosecutors could give these people the stuff. I mean, ultimately what's going on, they're trying to pinpoint Melly's location. They're trying to figure out where he went after the incident and where all their phones were tied in together at the same time. Like, what location were they all there at the same time? And then where did Melly specifically go after the fact? Because they know where Cortland Henry went and they know where the other two guys were. They were in the car. Long story short, I kind of feel like they're doing that for no reason, because they're going to put out, that this pinged here, this pinged off that tower, this, that, and that. But the defense have already put up a fight against that. It's saying, listen, man, the cell phone provider already came up here and said that if Melly made a phone call in one location, but the cell phone tower was stronger in a totally different location, that the cell phone would pick up there, that the cell phone would route itself over to the strongest tower. And that's, these companies are telling people, we got the best service. We got the, Verizon, best service, T-Mobile, best service, Sprint, best service, AT&T, everybody claiming they got the best service. So when you're in an area, especially a heavily populated area, most likely your phone calls are being routed not to the closest tower to you, but to the one that's the strongest at the time. And not to say that one is stronger than the other. One could have so many people on it that it routes your phone call over to the one that doesn't have that many people on it. So you could have a stronger signal, pretty much. So all in all, they got this FBI guy up here, and he's about to, be a witness and testify to these locations. But the defense is just going to come in and say, hey, buddy, we already spoke about this. They're going to object so many times. Just watch. Watch when they come in. It's going to be objection. We already talked about that. Objection. That's been already thrown out. Objection. I guarantee it. Here we go. I believe you're back from lunch, my friends. Let's get it.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. I'm Linda Kenny Bodden. Our coverage continues in that Broward County courtroom for the trial of Jamel Demons, better known as YNW Melly.
Yo, if you're not
this
subscribed
24-year-old
right now,
rapper
you might as
is
well.
charged with two counts of first-degree murder for
and
the
then
deaths of
covering his
Christopher
boy
Thomas
Cortland
Jr.,
Henry's
also known
trial
as
after this. So
YNW
make sure you
Juvie,
subscribe.
and Anthony Williams, also known as YNW Sack Chaser. All were a part of the YNW collaborative, along with the co-defendant Cortland Henry, who will be tried separately. Right now, the court is on their lunch break and should be returning soon. But I want you to take a listen to some of the testimony that happened earlier of Special Agent Brendan Collins, who's with the FBI. His cross-examination is expected to begin once they return on lunch, but he was under direct examination all morning. So why don't we take a listen to the prosecution's case? Who will be tried separately. Right now, the court is on their lunch break and should be returning soon. But I want you to take a listen to some of the testimony that happened earlier of Special Agent Brendan Collins, who's with.
So we're going to stop this right here real quick, okay? Just so y'all can understand. I've been watching this for weeks now. So I kind of understand what this is all is, okay? So you got to, these green dots you're seeing here are most likely not cell phone towers, but cell phone users. And one green dot doesn't necessarily mean one green person, right? Heard they're making a decision tomorrow, true or false. It'd be difficult for them to make a decision tomorrow, bro. I'd be really surprised if by tomorrow they had something. And I'll tell you why. Because for the past week they have nothing. They have nothing. That judge, I'm telling you guys, that judge is confused. The jury is confused. The messed up part about this, though, is that if you know the laws and how it just changed, they only need 8 jurors to say he's guilty, and they could sentence him to the death penalty, bro. 8 jurors out of 12, and they could sentence you to the death penalty. Oh man, listen, no way, bro. No way. Not with the information. This ending by tomorrow, it'll be crazy because it's either he's going to get let go, which I think should happen, not because I feel he's innocent, but because I feel that they ain't giving him a fair trial. They don't have nothing to convict him on specifically. They got a better chance convicting his boy, Cortland Henry, than they do convicting him. They have nothing on him but the fact that he jumped in that car. That's it. And the fact that he wasn't there after the fact. He wasn't there at the hospital when they dropped these guys off at the hospital. That's all they have. So when you ask me, yo, is it gonna end to tomorrow, bro? I don't know, man. Today was rocky, bro. They didn't even get to start today. Today they didn't even get to start. They started putting this information in there, and boy, the defense seen this shit, and they were like, yeah, we never had this evidence before. We not doing this. Y'all ain't give this to us. Prosecutor was like, yeah, we did. We emailed it to you yesterday or some shit. And they were like, nah, we not having that, bro. So they went on recess, obviously, so that the defense could get this paperwork and figure out what the hell she's going, or what the hell she's talking about and where she's trying to go with it. But back to this little map thingy, right? If you ever work with cell phones, or if you ever, anything with cell phones, right? Within this given area, let's make it easy. Let's say there's 3 towers in this given area. 1, 2, 3. Let's say right across in a straight line. 1, 2, 3 towers, right? And all these green dots are people that are trying to access those towers, right? So these 3 towers are covering this whole area. All these people are trying to access these green towers. So what's going to happen is when you, not these green people that are already on calls, but you, where you go to access your phone, make a phone call, send a text message, get on the internet, which we know people do this shit all day long, or your phone goes to access GPS, whatever. When you go to do that, it's going to route you over to not the nearest tower, buddies, but the one that's more stable. So what that means is, let's say all these green guys at the bottom of this screen are on one tower. It's clogging up that tower, right? And then another section of these green guys are in the middle tower and it's clogging up that tower. But these guys over here that's kind of spread it out, they're all using one tower. It's not that clogged up. Guess where your phone call is going to go? To the tower that's not clogged up. Because these cell phone providers, like I said before, they're gonna promote to you that they have the best service. So when you pick up your phone, it has to be the strongest signal. Doesn't happen always in all places. The rural routes are messed up. Rural areas are even worse. They have no towers. But when you're in a heavily populated area like this, we're talking about Florida. We're not talking about the boondocks, right? When you're in a heavy populated area like this, and there's tons of people accessing information, your phone could have pinged anywhere. You could have been anywhere in that area. You could have been anywhere in that map. You could have been anywhere. And then they're going to argue, oh, well, technology is way more advanced than that. And, oh, blah, 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 blah. The fact of the matter is like they said, they can't be witnesses to the information because they are not technicians or specialized in the facts of how cell phone radio interactions hit this tower and then bounce from here. The people that they had up there, they can't testify to that. So they put those people up there for no reason. So that's where we are so far, bro. So my bad for the long drawn out answer. When you ask me, do I think they're gonna make a decision by tomorrow? No, bro. I guess if they come out with some craziness today where they just like smash some crazy evidence, man. If they do something like that, then bruh, but or let's say the prosecution's only like bullet gets shot out the window by the defense, it might be over, bro. We don't even know what this lady has yet. She's holding on to what, bro, I'm telling you. I could mark my words. Whatever she has is so shaky. It's like so shaky that she's trying to build other things around it to give it a little, a little oomph. And it ain't, I don't know, man. I don't think it's gonna work. But you know how that is, man. When they losing, they could drag this court case out for another 2 weeks if they want to. Just because they're losing. And just because they know they're going to ultimately lose at the end, they can drag this shit out. So, let the idea of mistrial go. We got ways to go. Defense still has to call a witness. Oh, yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said it's difficult to say whether anybody's going to be going home or staying by tomorrow, because the prosecution has yet to even put out evidence that ties Melly to it yet. And they're supposedly getting to it now, so. But we'll see, man. We'll see. We about to go live. Let's see what they talking about right now.
Based on us being able to track these 2 cell phones that we believe belong to, I think, Henry and YNW Melly, that these are them. And believe it them. I know they submitted some evidence saying that, hey, look, we took a screenshot of the person using this phone, and in that screenshot you can see YNW Melly in the small box as he's FaceTiming someone. Great evidence, great use of an argument. I get that. But saying that these two phones traveled together and then at some point in time they were not traveling together, and the inability to
that's a
pinpoint
fact,
exact
bro.
locations, because what you're really doing is you're pinging off of cell phone towers. You're not triangulating exactly where someone is. You can give a general
listen to what he's
idea
saying.
of where they are in that area. So saying that at some point they're close and at another point they're a distance away, it doesn't say where the shooting occurred, when he got out, if he was in the car during the shooting or outside the car during the shooting. It leaves more questions than answers.
This dude said it better than I can say it, guys. Period. They don't have shit. He said it. He sounded more educated when he said it. They don't have shit. Even with the locations and all that bullshit, bro. Like I said, I explained it to you myself. He said it a little better, but he said it quicker. They don't have anything. They don't know where this dude was at. They don't know where he was at. They know the general locations of where they were at. They don't know where the shooting happened. They don't have any guns. They don't have any. At this point, as from what I've been seeing, they don't have any witnesses. They have a lot of speculation, and that's why I'm waiting for this prosecutor to finally show us what she got. Show us what you got, man, because right now it just looks like a bunch of empty rounds. Here we go. I'm gonna be quiet for a
Thank you.
little
Please
bit.
be seated. Let the record
Thank
once
y'all
again
for
reflect the
watching.
presence of the defendant, defendants, his counsel, assistant state attorneys, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and our witness, Bernie Collins, remains on the stand. Ladies and gentlemen, I just had a nice lunch.
Yeah, I gotta jump off and jump right back on. That's gonna stream.